Yo, alright, straight into the next part, we have Skaz's views on mental illness. Now, I've been told to do a video on this quite a lot, mainly because this guy, like, what he says is very confusing to, quite a lot of people. It's kind of long to get through, but don't worry, you guys have me. I'll explain this, hopefully good enough for you guys. But what it is that he talks about the myth of mental illness and the 50-year change. So back in the day, during the 1950s, go on, you tell me, what was mental health like back in the day? Well, I can clearly see we're back to the usual. You're getting it wrong. During the 1950s, the government, they weren't involved with the mental health or the concept of it. They couldn't care less about it. And as well as that, it wasn't seen as a legal concept, they couldn't care less. And as well as that, there were many, many, many different points of view to do with mental illness. There wasn't like one solid view. But however, that's changed 50 years later. Nowadays, 50 years later from that date, so during 2000, the government became very involved with mental illness. There was a lot of rules and regulations to do with it. And there's like one dominant view of mental illness, that being the medical model. Now, the next point that we're going into that he talks about is whether mental illness is a legal or medical concept. Now, a medical concept being mental illnesses stem from a physical cause, which Thomas Scasz, he's like, that's wrong. He thinks it's a legal concept. A legal concept being psychiatrists can detain the mentally ill and force treatment upon them. And they're legally allowed to do so. Have that, mentally ill people. You're getting detained. That's what you're basically saying that psychiatrists, they got too much power to be doing this type of shit. And it doesn't leave freedom for the mentally ill, basically. Which goes into the next point of mental illness is within the eyes of the beholder. Basically, mental illnesses, they're constructed by the observer. They assume that the patient's too dangerous for other people and a danger to themselves. So they have to be stripped of their freedom and detained. Which, it's not too good, is it, for the mentally ill people? And so basically, Thomas Scasz says the way to, treat the mentally ill the right way is to get a person who respects the mentally ill, and understands their predicament quite well. That way they can help the mentally ill help themselves to cure them, if that makes sense. They can help them help themselves. Yay! We've got part one of this Skaz done. It's not too bad so far. Also, another additional thing, I don't know if this will be a point in the next vid that I do, but basically something to remember is that the mentally ill, they don't have a choice. In comparison, people with physical diseases, such as, let's say they've got a leg illness that if they're not cured, they'll die. They have the option to refuse treatment for that, and the doctors won't ever bother them. However, if a mentally ill person came in and said, "Nah, man, I don't want my schizophrenic medication," the doctor's going to be like, "Hold on a minute, you're mentally ill. Yeah, we're detaining you, we're force-feeding those medications to you. You've got no choice in the matter." And, you can clearly see the difference. So, mentally ill people that have freedom with their choices, whereas physical diseases, willy-nilly, we do whatever you want, basically. And yeah, that's the point. Alright, into the final part of Skaz. This is, overall not too bad now that I've, given a nice review or overview of this. Let's begin. So we have the changing perspectives of human life. Now, what this basically is back in the day, you were responsible for your own mental illness and curing it yourself. You were the sole responsibility of it. No one else was going to help you with it. Nowadays, though, the government's here passively helping out the common citizens. If they're seen as mentally ill, they'll give them, a bit of treatment, They're sorted, basically. The next point is having a mental illness doesn't make the individual a patient. Now, it's one of the points I was making in the last video. I don't know if I actually did say it or not, because I made a shit ton of takes. But Basically, it's just that if you've got a physical illness or a physical disease, you've got the option of whether to get treated or not. If you're seen as mentally ill, though, say goodbye. You're getting locked up. That's pretty much what it is. You know, they've got no freedom and no choice as to whether they want to be treated or not. As well as that, medical patients are seen as needing to be put away. This is pretty much political control. Political control, no good. Into the final part of scasz. It's basically it's the evaluation. So the first part of the evaluation is it's ethnocentric. Now, you should know what ethnocentric is by now. Correct. You're dead on, because I should expect you to know this. It's basically, you know, not taking into account of the cultural factors or blah, blah, blah. Anyway, as for this study, why is this ethnocentric? Because it only looks at the American mental health system and it ignores other countries. Because, you know, different countries might vary in how they diagnose someone with mental health or how they treat someone with it. Another evaluation point is that scasz's view, you know, it's very, it gives leeway to free will, basically. It's like, yeah, good on you for free will. It gives free will and believes that everyone should have a choice in the treatments, you know, they want to take or not, and basically gives free will towards the people that are seen as mentally ill. Finally, it's socially sensitive research. It might stigmatize the mentally ill and psychiatrists because mentally ill people might not get the help they need from psychiatrists because they've been, like, you know, because of stigmatization, basically, being seen as, you know, like, if you give them the freedom that the scasz wants, then they might, you know, as a result of that, people will be like, well, we don't need to help them. Help yourselves. And that's not good because it might lead to them getting harmed. And it's stigmatizing a psychiatrist because, you know, it's basically saying, well, psychiatrists, they don't know shit. They're just basically warden people rather than actual doctors here to help out people, if that makes sense. It also might affect policies because current policies believe that, you know, we should be helping people. But, you know, his views are kind of contradicting that. However, it is good to change policies because some policies do need changing. And as for examples, I don't fucking know. Just write that and you should be good. But yeah, that's pretty much that done. And yeah, hopefully you understood scasz, and if you didn't, well, too bad. Yeah, just rewatch the video, I guess. I guess that should help. But yeah, that's scasz done. The next thing we're moving on to is, systematic desensitization. And after that, we've actually completed all of mental health. So yeah, be proud if you've managed to make it through all of these mental health videos. But yeah, also another little tiny note to add on is the medical model views that we did, the non-scientific ones of, you know, behaviorist, psychodynamic, and cognitive. I didn't do evaluation for them, and I might be tempted to if I have the effort, but they're just the debates, basically. Just use them. They're not too hard to, like, really learn, but if need be, I can do it. But yeah, that's that. Right into the final video, we have systematic desensitization, which the main big title for it being the non-biological treatment of one specific disorder, that being phobias. So remember, when you talk about this, you talk about phobias, nothing else. You don't talk about schizophrenia, depression, because you'll get it wrong and you'll fail. So let's begin. So now, systematic desensitization. You might be wondering, that's a hell of a big word. Words? What does that mean? It's quite easy. In fact, it's basically a hierarchy of fearful scenarios, and basically each step gets more fearful than the previous one, and the goal is for the client to take those steps, you know, step by step, and basically cure their fear. And so what therapists might do, or it's mainly therapists, I'd say. Basically, what they'll do is they'll get the client, you know, get them to relax, like, you know, deep relaxation, breathe in, once they've been relaxed and, they're chilling out, nicely, they'll take a look at the hierarchy and they'll see, let's say they've got a fear of spiders. The very first step on the list will be look at a picture of a spider. And then once that's achieved, they'll go on to the next step, which will be even more fear-provoking than the last one. Like, let's say, well, now you have to look at a spider in a box. And then the one after that will be, you look at a spider on the table. Then the one after will be, you have to hold the spider, and so forth. And this will keep going on until the person achieves the maximum, what's it called? The highest fear rating ever, like holding the spider and letting it crawl on you. That's when you've achieved it and you've been cured. So no more fears for you. And I've got an example to show you of this. You can see the list for yourself right here. Let's get it in the shot. It's a bit, yeah, there we go. So at the top, we've obviously got looks at the picture. You just read it for yourself, man. I'm like too far to even like come close and read it, but that's like basically how it is. It's just what I said basically. Anyway, and now that that's over with, we have to look at the evaluation for this. Now, the evaluation is that it enables people to basically cope with their phobias. And it's kind of a long-term fix. Once the person does it, they'll practically be cured, and that's a good thing. As well as that, adding to that, there's no side effects. Yay! You don't have to take medication and be screwed over. You do this once, and you're cured fully. No side effects included. So this is quite a good solution. However, this is where the problem starts to occur. This takes a lot of sessions to achieve, and it also depends on the cooperation of the client and how much they're willing to do. Because if they're not willing to do it, then they're just going to stay fearful of their scenarios and situations. But if they're willing to do it, then good on them. But this does take quite a few sessions to achieve. As well as that, it's kind of distressing in the short term, but you'd expect that because if they're fearful of it, they'll obviously be distressed by it. But look at the bright side. Once you go through the short term of pain, the long term of enjoyment will be calm. Does that sound good? I'd hope so. And finally, there's also studies to support this. So, there's evidence backing that this does work. So, I mean, you can't really dispute this. And if you want to, well, then you're just wrong. But yeah, that's pretty much that. And with that, we have came to a conclusion. This is quite a monumental moment, if I'm honest, because it's the first time I've actually ever completed the entire thing, all done. All of mental health is practically done, I think. Hopefully there's no missing things here and there, but for the most part, I'd say, let me give it a rough percentage. 95% of mental health is fully done. If you just watch my videos, you're sorted. So that's actually quite impressive. Obviously, you need to do exam techniques and whatnot, but that's impressive. Wow. Come on, guys, leave a like for this, man. It's a huge, monumental moment, truly. The next psychology stuff that we'll be moving on to will be research methods, because that is paper 1 and that'll be coming up very soon. So we'll have to be focusing on that. The next videos I'll be releasing will be law. So yeah, just be prepared for them ones. It'll be consent, defenses, and theft. So yeah, that's that. And we're all done here. So I hope you guys enjoyed my final video on mental health. I'll miss this topic. I really did like it. But yeah,